Hi, I'm June, and I'm with Julie today. Excited to be here with Julie. We're going to talk a little bit about the work that we've been doing. I've been working with people one-on-one, and so has Julie. And now she's got this amazing YouTube channel, and she's now even an associate on the Mindful Integration team. So just really excited to be here together so we can talk and share some of the things that we're really passionate about.
Thank you, June. I'm glad to be here with you. A few days ago, I spoke about the tool that we use with the modality of mindful integration. And I mentioned on my YouTube channel that there were free mini course that people could access. And I mentioned the organization. And from that arose this initiative to speak together today and to reveal more about this beautiful modality and how it can support and help people be free to be themselves, to live a fulfilled human life. So yeah,
Yes. It
thank
was
you for
funny
that.
because after you posted that, all of a sudden people started signing up for the mini course.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm like,
nice.
Julie, people are signing up to the mini course from your YouTube. So we need to get together and talk about it.
Yes.
I love your teachings. I watch your YouTubes and they're so beautiful, direct pointing and just really, really, I get the feeling when I'm watching you of being able to just rest in my true nature. And so I know the question that I get sometimes too is why would we need these tools? Why would we need the mirror ball and the function tool that when we have this direct pointing and all of that?
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. That's a good question that I can answer from my direct experience. Um, Awareness, presence was realized. Let's just say it this way, was realized, oh, there is presence. There is this spaciousness that is here. But then it felt as if it was lost. So there was a flickering effect. I got it, I lost it. And what was in the way of residing in that space, in that presence, was a movement that was propulsing me forward constantly with, I really need to do something, or I have to solve this, or I need to control that, or and these movements they couldn't they couldn't be ignored or denied or repressed or make go away. Like I couldn't, it seemed to be happening on its own. So I needed to find how to be free of them, really. I don't want this.
Yes.
And these tools, they proved to be very, very efficient to bring to consciousness, to bring clarity to why are these movements happening? Why am I not free of these movements, even if I realize presence, silence, peacefulness?
It's almost as if I see them as obstacles in a way. These obstacles come up and they are seemingly clouding the presence.
Yes, they are clouding the presence because the presence is a residing in a non-movement. It doesn't mean that we're not doing anything in our life. It means like we're doing something here in this moment, but there is this non-movement, this silent peace that we don't need to attain anything. We're not trying to achieve. We're just being here. And these movement, they kind of take us away from that non-movement that is already here.
Yes.
So I was frustrated. I mean, I know it's here, but I seem to be lost into the reflex of I have to help, or all of these movement that make us feel not at peace.
Yes.
So I need
Yes.
to hear
And
that.
I call them, I often call this programming. You know, what you're calling is movements or reflexes. Some of this is programming that is running for us. We may or may not be conscious of this.
Yeah.
Um, you
Yeah.
know, maybe sometimes I had done a lot of therapy and I had done a lot of work and everything. And so, you know, when I had this shift, it was permanent and there was a lot of clarity. But then I was noticing occasional programming coming up again that had dissipated. It had cleared out. And then for some reason, something would trigger,
Yeah.
something would
Yeah.
trigger my programming.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And the trigger can be surprising because here you are, everything is smooth, everything is going well, and suddenly, boom, something happened. And
Why am I being triggered? I was resting
what
in
is that?
presence for a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
You know, I was resting in presence for 2 months or 3 months or 6 months. I've heard a lot of different, you know,
Yeah.
time factors from people that I've worked with, a year, 2 years, like everything was fine for 2 years. And then all of a sudden, bam, I start getting hit with
Yeah.
my programming or whatever it is that the client is calling it, you know. It could be anxiety.
Yes.
All of a sudden, some kind of anxiety that's just coming up from nowhere. Like they don't even know where it's coming up from.
Yes. Yes. And it's really different for everyone. So sometimes there will be just recognition of present for an hour, and then everything comes to the surface.
Yes. And you know, that the point that you made right there, I wanted to point out that using the tools, even using the tools, can get you into presence.
Yes. Yes. There's no wrong way
Right. I
to
mean, by the
go.
time
Yeah.
you finish your first session, a really good session, if you've gone through all the tools, uh, whatever programming has been running is going to relax. And there you are in presence. So even if someone hasn't achieved this feeling of permanent state of presence, the tools can kind of get you there. So it's interesting. The tools are here to help with obstacles that are coming up that are seeming to cloud me from this presence that I've already realized. Or the tools can also be used to help us get into a place of presence.
Yes, if we have never, really found it, and we hear about this, I hear about this, but I'm not finding it. I'm looking for it, and it's in the looking that we're losing it.
Yes.
And these tools, they can start to, I call them like they start to prune the branch of the tree, and there is more and more presence that is starting to, I say, like, to shine through. But it's by, the slow dissolution of these discomfort that at some point it's like, oh, now I start to feel
Yes.
this sense of safety, this sense of being okay, that things are okay. But that can be hard to know directly when our nervous system is fully activated and we don't know what to do. And the
Right.
mindful integration, what I like about it is, mindfulness is a way to start to recognize that.
Yes. Yes. And settle that down. And the conscious practice of being in this observer space. You know, you were sharing about how the presence doesn't really have an agenda. Presence is just pure awareness.
Yeah.
And so when we work with people, we're helping them remain there. And you know I've had some clients where I'll say, All right, so rest back into witness consciousness. I want you to be more grounded in the observer place. And they might say, I don't understand observer position. And so, one good way to understand the observer, if you're not aware of your observer, which, if oftentimes when we're very, very identified with our programming as if that is me, we don't realize that there's an observer noticing that
That
this
is true.
program is running within me. And
Yes.
I'll suggest that somebody that they have an observer and they're like, I'm not aware of an observer. So let me suggest this. I'll tell the client, well, you've been reporting to me what happened like yesterday or early. You're reporting to me exactly what happened. Yes. So you can see a reporter and they'll go, yeah. And so there's an observer behind the reporter. And behind
Yes.
the observer is just the pure spaciousness, right?
Yes.
We're
Yes. And
just pulling it away. We're the tools are just stripping it away layer by layer,
mhm.
constantly. And then they pile back up, and we're like, okay, that's fine. Let's pull them away again. I like what you said about removing the leaves so the light can shine through. So we're just honoring them and,
Yes.
letting
Gently.
them relax until everything's relaxed and
Yes. Yes.
we're we're just
Yes. We're
resting
not
in it.
trying to get rid of anything.
No, we're
No.
not. And I
No.
think that's difficult though. Like if I come to you and I really want to get rid of this, I'm so tired of this.
Yes.
I
Yes.
hate this. It's
Yes.
anxiety. I can't even, go grocery shopping. I have to wait in the car before I can go in. I have to wait until most people have gone out of the store or something, these
Yes.
stories that I've been told by my clients. I want to get rid of this. I want to get rid of this programming, right?
Yes. And we make space for that,
Yes,
which wants to get rid of this. And
yes,
that in that there's an alchemy that yes, let's acknowledge that I want to get rid of this. I really do.
yes. And why do I want to? Let it express itself fully.
Yes.
Every impulse, we let it express itself fully, right? And sometimes we'll let it repeat itself. And, we're holding space so that eventually this impulse to repress what's arising, um, it it really relaxes, right? The impulse to repress
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
really relaxes a lot, and then we can even get to the point where, oh, I'm noticing an impulse to repress, like I'm noticing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let me just honor that. Okay, wow, what am I trying to repress here and why? And really, really listen and be with it.
Yes. And when you speak about the observer, I speak about it in a different language, and I often speak about the wisdom body.
Wisdom body.
The wisdom body is before we have opinion and judgment, is right here.
Oh, okay, okay. I love that.
It's already non-dual,
Yes,
and in the wisdom body, everything arises equally.
yes,
Thoughts, emotion, sound. There's
yes,
it's a place. It's the place where you're speaking about, and
yes,
it's just different words to express the same thing.
yes. I'd like to go into that a little bit more because I have another concept that I use when I'm doing shadow work with people. And the idea is that there's a grounded, aware ego that might be similar to the wisdom body. So let's say we're noticing all of this programming, right? I'm getting to know my programming. I'm getting clear about what triggers me, why that triggers me, and what comes up within me when I get triggered by that. So I'm aware of that. There's an observer, there's a wisdom body that was present before the program originated. And then is the wisdom body also the way you see it, the part of the part of me that is aware of all these parts, and being able to be wise about them and being able to kind of decide, like, thank you for arising right now, but I don't really need you right now, that kind of
Yes, yes, because
thing.
the
Okay.
wisdom body, I call it also effortless being.
Okay.
It's you know how we were, as if you had the blessing of knowing that, because not everyone has that, how we were as children before we adopt any program. Oh, I'm
Yes.
tired, I want to go home. And you just go, you know,
Yes.
I'm hungry, I want to eat. There is no
Yes.
additional layer of why and how it should be. So the effortless being is already without opinion. So when we cultivate that, working from that place, which is what I
Yes.
understand we're doing with mindful integration, is working from an open place that is receiving or looking at the content
Yes.
without opinion and without any
Yes.
judgment about it. And
Right.
yeah, that's a wider space than being in the program, totally
Yes.
identified with it. So yes,
Yes.
I feel it's, I don't know if I would call it, um how did you say, like, the word was?
Yeah, and I'm wondering, so this is a concept where I'm calling it the aware ego. And the aware ego is part of the person that is helping me manifest the life I want. So I think it might be different, but it's cool to discuss this, right? So here I am, I'm in a life, I'm a person, I have a house, I've manifested a house that I like, I've manifested, friendships that are meaningful for me, I've manifested a career that I'm passionate about. So the aware ego is a part of me that is trying to help me manifest what I want.
Yes.
And that's its only agenda, really. But yet the aware ego is almost like an orchestra conductor when you think about programs and parts. So the orchestra conductor is serving me, helping me manifest my life as I want it. And the orchestra conductor is the one telling my programming, okay, I need you to relax right now. I don't really, the orchestra conductor will tell the drum section louder and tell the flute section, so the aware ego is a functioning sort of like it's part of the ego that has matured and almost has some awareness, and it has its agenda to help me manifest my life. And it helps by being involved with my programming and my parts,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
actually being involved with them. It becomes the orchestra conductor, and they are the instruments in the orchestra.
For me, it resonates as intuition and that birthright of thriving in life. And it's because I'm looking at it from the non-dual place, and in from that place is really just this effortlessness of just being myself.
Yes.
And then it will attune to intuition, to my personality, because my personality is not like your personality, eh? So my personality is unique. It's a tool to live here and to thrive. And so if my personality is inclined to love people, then intuition will nudge me towards mindful integration facilitator
Yes.
to manifest that talent on the physical plane, like this get manifested here.
Yes.
So yeah, it might be the same thing and we're using different words, and this intuition is rooting for you.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's like, yes, yes, go, you can do this.
Yes.
Yes, and it's yeah, to me it's linked to effortless being, is the joy of being here effortlessly in enjoyment of life. And yeah, so yeah, we may be speaking about the same thing, simply using different words, but
Yes.
it resonate as the same energy, the same vibration.
Yes. I've noticed with some of my clients where they have a lot of different parts that come in. So it's not just one thing that's happening. They might have 4 or 5 different types of triggers,
Hmm.
and each trigger has a different type of reaction.
Yes, yes.
And that's when it starts getting, a little bit, it seems more complicated for them. And that's why I use sometimes this image of the orchestra conductor, because sometimes all of our parts and our programming seems like there's a lot of them, and they're fighting, each other.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to
Mm-hmm.
run my life, and you know they're fighting each other, and that's where that concept comes in. But I agree with you that the more we get to know them and understand them and appreciate them, and we can use the function tool to find out what are, because let's say the controller came in. So we're looking at the origin. When did this originate? When did this originate? The whole system, if I'm resting in presence and I'm consciously doing inquiry because I've been upset and I've been reacting, and so I can go, here, this is the reaction I've had. I need to be in control. When did that originate? The whole system will just show me, it'll just show us when oh yeah, that originated then, and what was it trying to help with at that time? So this is beautiful. These are the beautiful primary tools that we have, because from your perspective, I can see that what we're doing is we're honoring this programming so that it can relax back into presence, really.
Yes, that's it. Yes, it
Yeah,
goes back to where it came
it
from.
naturally
Nothing.
goes. And
Yes.
so maybe sometimes a lot of the tools, we're using them, but the the tools, when they're being used successfully, they're gonna relax everything into presence.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. So we're ending up at the same place, taking a different route. And I love this. It's gradual. And
yes,
even with sudden realization, there is, I don't know, because some people maybe everything falls away. But that was not my case. There was sudden realization. I'm not my baggage. I'm not my thought. I can drop all of it. Bliss, bliss, bliss. And then identification. I stayed in bliss for about 6 weeks,
okay,
where there was a just unconditional love pouring, like huge energy of unconditional love. The body had trouble maintaining this height and energy.
yes,
And then after, identification was really strong. And I the suffering became very intense. So I needed to meet all the parts. The
yes,
one that was sad, the one that was scared, the one that was angry, the
yes.
controller, the helper.
Well, and then when you're meeting those parts from presence,
Very efficient. It's
yes, and that might
yes,
be
it
what we were doing wrong in the past with our therapy and our talk therapy and all of that,
yes,
because we didn't have presence as the foundation,
exactly. That's it.
and
That's
we were trying to
the
figure it out mentally.
yes, and trying to become a better person, which is
Yes.
a never ending.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the
Yeah.
presence is the ingredient, is not,
Yes.
yeah, and the tool combined. Very very powerful.
It's the practice and the fruits of the practice. It's the
Yeah.
foundation of the practice and it's the fruit of the practice, which is crazy.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I was experiencing a lot of these, awakenings that would last about 2 months and then dissipate gradually back into my normal waking consciousness, and that was happening for years, and then finally, I was really engaged in spiritual practices for many, many years, and then finally, the seeker just dissolved, and I went on to just started focusing on my career and my business, and there wasn't really a lot arising, but I wasn't focused on, you know, anything. And then when I finally did decide, well, what about, am I awakened? I mean, what about that? And I decided to go tap back in a real profound way is when I had this permanent shift, which
Mhm.
was permanent. You know, not saying I don't ever get triggered or nothing ever comes up, but it can come up and I can deal with it pretty quickly and then return back to awareness pretty easily.
Yes, it feels like the major difference is the seeker is resigned. There's no seeker. There is no seeking. That's and this tool that is where they can lead you to. That
Yes,
you don't seek avoiding anything. First of all, as soon as you have a toolbox, that's really something
yes,
that is supporting the resting of the seeking
yes,
because you have the tool. So okay, so it may seem like a lot of work at first, and I often say to people with whom I work, don't make this a project. It's a toolbox, and
yes,
we're using it when we need it, and it's
yes,
in it, and the more we use it, the simpler it gets.
yes. It gets very, very simple.
Yes, and that is supporting resting the seeker, because when everything seems complicated, you may adopt the belief, I'll never get through all of that, it's too much. But when
Yes,
you start to clarify and clarify, it's support resting the seeker, because then you can see, oh, it's quite simple. I start to be aware of my emotional body. I start to know what is this emotion versus that emotion and what is triggering it. And sometimes it's very, very impressive how a trigger can be. Like I had one, it would have the same condition, nighttime. My partner calls to say he's going to stay with friends, and he tells me at the last minute, the aloneness, I'm alone and even scared, and I'm an adult, I mean, and it was very vulnerable energy. And when I brought to consciousness, I saw myself at a very young age asking my dad, can you stay home, I'm alone and I feel scared, and he couldn't.
he
So it was
could.
nighttime and he left to go to social. Well, I call it social. It was not really social. It was going to AA. So he needed to go out every night. He needed that to survive. But I was alone at home.
Yes,
And that energy that really needed recognition, even after realization, there's no like it needed, it surfaced with it.
right. So, you know, a reaction came up and then you're giving it space and going, what is this? And then you didn't even have to ask, when did this originate? You know, using these tools, we get to the point where we don't even have to ask, when did it originate? The system just shows, oh yeah, I was really young and this is what happened. We
Yes.
can just give space to that.
And the sadness and the fear that was felt then was never recognized.
Right, that's right. That's
So
correct.
it
That's so beautiful. That's a beautiful example of what we're doing with these tools. We're having an opportunity to go back and be with that part of me that was,
yeah.
you know, having to feel some pain and giving it space, giving her space and allowing that to be felt in the body right now. And so that's something else that I remind clients, that we can be resting in awareness. We can be grounded right here in our adult body, and we can have the younger, vulnerable self present here as well. We can allow those emotions that that part of me could not feel at that time. We can allow them and feel them now, and all of that can be happening at the same time.
Yes, at the same time.
There's
And it
enough
is,
space for
yeah,
all of that to be happening.
yes, yes. And it is my experience that in that, there's the growth of our personality, the growth of our character, so
Okay.
that it can live a fulfilled life, that it's not
I think that
encumbered.
might be what I'm calling the aware ego,
Yes, yeah,
mature character, the matured
yes,
self,
yes. The mature self
the
can be,
adult that is willing to feel these emotions on
yes.
behalf
Ah, that's
of
it. Okay, it's
vulnerable
different. Yeah.
self.
Yes, yes,
Yes, yes.
yes. That's it.
The
And
more we do
mhm.
that, the more the adult does that, the more we develop and mature, into this space.
Yes, and um, the more we can finally follow intuition and do what we love, because we don't have these parts that are still suffering,
Yes,
that are triggered
yes,
by what's arising. There's fear of doing something because there is a part here that is
yes,
still wounded.
yes, that's
So so it feels like becoming an adult, like you know, being really
yes,
functional and centered and having a
it
fulfilled
is.
life.
It does give us an opportunity to be an adult because I'm consciously saying, okay, my current adult self is willing to feel this on behalf of that younger part of me right now. Right now, I'm willing to. And then we kind of merge with one another. She's able to feel some relief because it's finally being felt.
Yeah,
I can,
yeah,
I can visualize her and feel her presence here with me right now. And we're both feeling it in a way.
yes,
And then it just collapses and we both disappear into presence.
yes, yes. And it's also my experience that as the pain is recognized and felt, it doesn't last forever, and what's left after is the joy, that playfulness of the
Yes.
child that is still on the surface then. Yeah.
Yes. This is a big assumption that people are making either consciously or unconsciously. There's an assumption that I cannot allow any of this pain because
Hmm.
if I allow it, it's going to be either too much, I won't be able to deal with it, or it's going to be like opening a Pandora's box. It's going to be
Yeah.
going on and on and on. And so these are the things that, yeah, we understand that, right? It's natural. It's pretty common.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, I was
the
one of them.
yeah, the whole
I can't
system wants to
because yeah.
avoid pain at all costs. That's normal. And we're just saying that it's not necessarily true. It doesn't seem to be true that if we allow pain, it's going to go on and on and on, or if we
Yeah.
allow pain, we're not going to be able to handle it, or any of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We can handle it. We're
Yes.
we're grounded, we're rested in a wisdom body or in an aware ego state, an adult state. We're consciously deciding to go there.
Yes.
And maybe that, being rested in mindfulness and making a conscious decision to feel this, is very powerful.
Yes. Very powerful. Yeah. It
The
transformed
whole
life.
system just
Yeah.
celebrates that.
Yes. Yes.
All the parts. So, and okay, yeah, this is another thing that I've noticed. So let's say that I have a part of me, and I'll use the controller because that's been one of my main parts that comes up if I'm feeling vulnerable in any way. So I can stop and go, okay, here you are. Thank you for arising. I know all the things that you have helped me with, right? I know what you've helped me with. And one of the things that you've helped me with is you've helped me avoid shame, you know? So now I'm going to take a moment and say that I'm willing to feel this shame. And it's true, so I can actually feel it. And so the controller part sees that. One of its jobs is to help me avoid shame. But when I remind it that I'm resting in the wisdom body, I'm in effortless being, I'm conscious here, I want to feel this.
Yes.
I'm willing to feel any emotion that needs to arise, and I do it, then the programming just
Yes.
relaxes.
Yes.
It just simply dissolves into thin air.
Yes.
That's a trick. That's a quick trick,
Yes. Uh,
especially because using the tools helps us understand what feelings are being repressed, what
yeah.
feelings are being avoided. And yeah, the system wants to avoid that. But if
You're
ultimately
allowed to
I'm
feel it.
willing
Yes.
to,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
just changes everything.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
All I have to do is remind myself, I'm willing to feel this.
Mm, yeah. I often tell on the channel with my when I speak is an energy when it's not resisted, it has nowhere to grasp. It cannot be sustained. So if the space is wide enough to the willingness and the openness to feel it, it 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 has to it has to relax, it has to rest. So it's as if you bring everything back home to be integrated, and then wholeness is is what is here already, but it becomes a lived experience.
Yes. Mindful integration, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we're resting in mindfulness. We're doing our processing with these very sharp tools, and then it's naturally integrating.
yeah, yeah. Extraordinary. I'm so blessed. We're blessed to be here.
Yeah.
So I hope anyone that resonate with that can go on the website, access the free mini course, and
Yes.
start to use it. It's available, and
Yes. If any of this resonates with anyone, we want to announce that we're getting ready to open enrollments for the small group personal processing program where you're going to get a lot of personal attention because, sometimes these tools, you might have gone through the mini course and you understand it and you might be making progress, but you feel like you need more personal attention. And that's why we created this small group program. You'll get more personal attention.
yes, it helps to be guided also when you start to know the tools. And and I did receive testimonial from people that mentioned that the course, because I do have a little online course as well, and they said the course is great, but the best part was the group.
Yes.
There's something happening in a group setting when
Yes.
everyone feels, oh, me too. Oh, I'm not alone.
Yes.
Oh, you too. And there's so much like, wow, I
Yeah.
never felt that this, I thought I was the only one, or
Yes.
and a safe space where there are other people. It's really powerful.
What would you say to people that are scared of groups? Because, I actually have a couple of people that are thinking about joining a small group, but they're scared of groups. They're just
Mhm.
scared of it. Um,
Honestly, I would say do a couple of one-on-one session
yes. Yes.
to meet that.
Yes.
and see how it goes, and maybe even bring that in the group, that the
Yes.
discomfort of being in a group can
Right.
be can be revealed there, and just
I
allowing
don't wanna be
yourself.
here, like, I'm scared to
Yes,
be here,
yes,
I'm anxious right now. We do that, I mean, a lot of times our first group meeting, that's what we're dealing with. The whole
yes,
all the emotions about being here with the group and, even facilitators, even the group leader sometimes
yes, yes.
has, our own,
Emotion.
emotions arising and
Yes,
because, we're here, we wanna help, right? We wanna help, and we don't wanna accidentally hurt, we could
yes,
have our own fears about, running the group that would be arising, and so, yeah,
yes,
some of the most beautiful groups we've ever had, was when the group leader actually revealed how scared she was, and then it released everybody else. "Oh, okay. We can all admit how we really feel."
yes. And it's normal also as a group leader, because you want to give equal space to everyone, and you're facilitating, and then at the same time you're meeting yourself. And I love, integrate as you go. I really love that.
Yes,
Integrate as you go. So you move in your life, and if the movement is to dare to join a group and integrate that,
yes,
and then maybe at some point the movement is to dare facilitate a group, and you integrate that.
yes,
It's so it's gently, growing and moving out comfort zone slowly, and integrating that.
yes, yes.
Because I feel in the realm of non-duality, we hear a lot of stuff. There are many, many voices, and all voices have their space. But one thing that I feel is the fruit of awakening, and the fruit of, even if it's not awakening, or it's the fruit of doing this work, is to be in our life, to be alive, to feel aliveness, to feel creativity, and just free of what's in the way of just being.
Yes. So, yeah, we would really, encourage you that over 100 people have learned these tools, and it's not for everybody, right? But the people that have joined and they've attended the small group, it was because they just intuitively felt like it was right. So,
Yeah.
yeah, if you're feeling intuitively it's right, but you're still have some fears or insecurities, you can definitely reach out for a 30-minute clarity call about it. And yeah, we can help you decide, right?
Yes. So I always tell everyone, follow your intuition.
Yes,
It's the most important thing, because maybe it's not for now, and it's
right.
totally fine. But if there's an intuition, then I would say go for it. Yeah.
Even if the programming is
You say,
contradicting the
yeah.
intuition.
Yes, sometimes it does, and the less the programming has a power over us, the more intuition can be followed. And
Yes,
so yeah, it's a beautiful path, and there is no wrong road that leads to the same place. So if that one is resonating for you, then go for it. Start
yes,
with accessing the free tool, and then maybe
yeah,
book a one-on-one session,
yes.
and then see if a small group would be good. It's a really beautiful experience, the small group. The people are really benefiting each other.
It's my favorite type of group. So we like to have our small groups with 1 facilitator and 3 participants.
Oh,
So
very intimate.
very intimate, and we
Yes.
meet for 90 minutes. So,
Nice.
and then when a new trainer is being trained, sometimes we'll have 2 facilitators with 3 participants.
Which may be me at
Yes,
some point. If there
Yes.
are enough participants, I could be
Yes.
trained as a
Yes.
facilitator.
I
That's
would really love that. I hope so.
amazing.
I hope it will happen eventually. We're
Yeah.
patient, right?
Yes, yes. If we're speaking about it, and at some point, yeah, if there are enough participants interested, I would gladly join and learn. Yes,
Yeah,
it's
I'm so
awesome.
excited. I really am. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for,
Mm.
for meeting, and it's been great talking to you.
Yes, it has been great to talking to you too. And again, that I do value your competence, and you've been working in that field for a long time, and you've learned many tools before giving birth to mindful integration. So
Yes.
I trust your
Yes.
competence, your integrity, your honesty. So I have no barrier to send people your way and send people to these tools.
Let's do this.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.